What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? It's Xavier, the Traffic Link. Thank you guys for joining me today. We're going to be walking through we're on part 4 actually, on how to build your marketing system, your automated marketing system. And we're primarily going to be, I guess I could say that, going to be just talking about high level, because quite frankly, that's all I use anymore. I used to use software. I used to have to stack together. Let me talk about that. Like, I had ActiveCampaign, Zapier, Duda, WordPress, all these different softwares, Twilio, just bare naked Twilio, all these things that I used to have to use to stack together to actually build out a system that basically did everything that I can do in one cohesive together unit with HighLevel. And I like that because it makes it easier for me to move around. And one of the things that I used to always run into that I don't run into as much anymore is I don't run into having, to go all over the internet to try to find where something broke. It's right here and it's easy to work with. So far, we walked through how to set up your account. We walked through the launch pad, the dashboard. We walked through setting up your business profile, your personal profile, how to set up your email services, how to set up your phone services. And we walked through the marketing tab, where we went through and we talked about email marketing campaigns, how to set up templates. So all these things are individually, they work great in and of themselves. But now, how do you get these things to talk to each other? And that's what we're going to talk about today, is in workflows. So automation and workflows are how do you get these different parts of the Traffic Link app that I built on top of HighLevel. How do you get all these things to work together cohesively? And we're going to go through that. So we're going to talk about workflows. Don't know how long this session is going to be. I don't anticipate it's going to take a long time, but it could. And if it does, then, so be it. But I don't think it's going to take a long time because I guess want to talk about a simple automation when talking about emailing. We want to talk about what, how do we trigger an email campaign from a form, right? Because we did talk about forms a little bit, but we'll go back through that and how do we trigger an email campaign to go out relative to how somebody fills out a form. So without anything else to be said, let's just go ahead and dive right into it. So want to make sure that I got everybody in place. Okay, trying to make sure that I get everybody's chats together. So let me jump over here to my community outside and let them know that we're on. And then I'll share my screen and we'll get started. So and by the way, I don't know if you guys noticed, I did change up the scene a little bit in my physical scene in the background, so I can make it a little bit more dynamic. So iterations. Life is about iterations, and you may not have everything together now, but you can build towards it. And one of the things that I've always focused on was making sure that I have vision, right? And making sure that my vision is where it needs to be, and I just build towards it. And this is starting to become more like what I imagine my space would be. And so we're getting there. So, all right, let me go ahead and jump over here. so let me go ahead and jump over here and open up the screen. Just a second. So I hope everybody's had a great week. Hope everybody's enjoying the last bits of summer as they roll out. Fall's just a couple weeks away. That's wild. I just thought about fall is just a couple weeks away. Like next week, I think, is the beginning of fall. And we're going to go into a whole new season. The great thing about new seasons is the season changes. It actually is making room for the future. And moving forward is what life's all about. Okay, so let me go ahead and try to figure this out. Trying to figure out how to keep all my chats in view as I share my screen. And that right now is kind of seeming to be a challenge for me right now. So let me do like this. So yeah, that's going. All right, so we should be, yeah, here we are. All right, so now I should be able to see the chat. All right, I got eyes on myself and I got the chat going over to the side. Let me go ahead and let folks know. Let's go into, and if you're on the replay, you can just go ahead and fast forward through this. Again, working through the challenges, working through the kinks. You know, you guys get to see what this looks like in real life. This is real life. And you're watching somebody that is learning as they're going. And I'm okay with being that level of vulnerable. So all right. So let me go ahead and come back over here. All right, let me go ahead and start screen share, and then we'll start walking through these. All right, cool. All right, so let's jump over here to what we need to see. See if we got what we need to see. Monitoring. All right, so it looks like I'm froze. All right. So it looks like we have the wrong thing up on screen. And let's see where we at. Or no, not there. Nope, not there. All right. Oh, aggravated. Okay, let's go. Share whole screen. All right, what is going on? All right, let me figure this out for a second. Oh, this is so embarrassing. Oh, it's just several seconds behind. Okay. Okay, I gotcha. All right. Okay, so this is not going the way I thought it would go. All right, let's just jump right into this. All right, so let me go back to share my screen. So now I see what's happening. Share screen. Okay, so this is where we need to be. All right, so workflows. We're going to automate a workflow where submitting a form from your submitting a form is going to trigger an automation to reply back to an email. And we're going to use a marketing marketing email template that we created in the past to do that. So what that's going to look like. All right, cool. All right, gotcha. Thank you. Thanks, Keith, for joining. Ball Guy Marketing. Also, leave your Keith, if you could leave your new page that I was on Monday in the chat, so you share that with the folks so they can be a part of your community as well. Keith is an amazing person, great man, really good man. Love him a lot. He is really great at helping me promote things. So, all right. So we rolling. I'm actually a little bit more prepared than I thought. I didn't realize that the live was so laggy, and as I'm watching myself live on another monitor, I am noticing that we are super behind in actual real time. I thought it was more one-to-one, but it's not. This whole going live is new to me, and I am, especially on YouTube, I'm generally a person that sits in the background, and one of the things I've learned in my lifetime is that in order to get where you got to go, you have to make the changes necessary. And this is one of the changes that's necessary. I'm usually the person that's in the background, and I'm just doing what I need to do. I don't put myself out there in the foreground often, but we have to start doing that. And that's what you're experiencing. And you're watching me. Yeah, the Facebook group, Keith. You're watching me go through these growing pains live in person. All the mistakes. Yee! It's a lot of fun, isn't it? It's a lot of fun. If growing pains don't hurt, then are they growing pains? So anyhow, we're going to be automating a form that's going to then send out this. It's going to send out this email, and we're going to use this template to do so. So be loud online, show your authenticity, explosive marketing strategies that ignite your brand's potential and fuel. Again, there's a lot that can be done here to make it a little bit more on brand, but it's a template and there's a lot of things that you can do. And we went through an example of how we changed these things and how we added a background and things like that. So we're going to use this template now to automate an inquiry form. So we're going to go into sites, and from sites, we're going to go into go into forms. So from forms, we're going to go to builder, and then we're going to go to new funnel or a new form. I'm sorry, add form, and we're going to go start from scratch. So when you start from scratch, you can build your form out the way that you want. And I guess we can talk a little bit more about what all you can do from a design perspective in forms. So when you start from scratch, it gives you the basic template of what a form could be. But if you notice, you can click on this styles and options menu, or it's a contextual menu, and you can choose the styles that you want here. So you can pick one that fits your if you find one that fits your brand or fits the theme that you want to accomplish, or if it you want to make sure it's has some continuity from form to email, you can find one that fits that, or you can create a style that fits what you want. So let's talk about the different form types. You have a single column, you have a 2-column, which is like side by side, and then you have a single line where you put everything in line. So for this one, I want to do the 2-column because I like to personally save vertical space. And the reason why I like to save vertical space is because primarily I've always been indoctrinated with the idea that you want to build mobile first, and you want to get as much information on the screen and above the fold as possible. So I'm going to choose that. Now I could go this route, like the single line for this very same purpose, but I also don't like the fact that it squishes down the email. So even if you put in an email address here, by the time you get to the @ symbol, the rest of the email is going to be off screen and it gives a bad user experience. So we're going to go with the 2-column because I get the benefit of seeing all the information. Like, so if somebody has a longer first name or a longer last name, and if they have a longer email, they'll be able to see that. So what you have here also is a pre-populated consent form. If you want to change the terms and conditions of the consent form, you can go, or the consent, you can go in, you just click on it, and then you can go over here and change it. I consent to receive, let's say, weekly SMS notifications, or whatever you want it to say. The point is, this is how you would do it, right? So you can set the text color here. So you can make the text color match the brand, and I believe there was a lot of blue in the email, so I'm going to select blue, say, for instance, but that might be a little hard to read, so I'm gonna go a little darker. So let's go there, and then if I have any links, I can set the link color here. So I don't have any links here, but sometimes you might want to say, like, to, instead of having your policy, terms and service policy, privacy policy and terms of service here, you might want to include that in the text here. So after it says at any time, you can just put in here terms of service, here, and then you just go highlight, and then from there you go to create a link, and then you put your terms of service. I don't know if this is even a real website, don't know, but I'm just showing you for demo purposes. And so then I have like that. Now see, terms of service now is in green. So yeah, I don't want it to be in green. I want it to be red, right? So it stands out, and boom. That's how you do that. So we got, now that we have a name, and we're going to give this form a name. We're going to call it, oh, you said the first form is the mobile first form? Okay. Justin, who is my resident UX person, is telling me that the first form is the proper mobile first form. So there we go. I don't mind being corrected. So we're gonna go anyway. We're gonna go and name this form. We're gonna call it intake form. Right, or we're going to call it lead intake form. Okay, and get rid of that S. All right, hit save. So let's follow our UX designer's recommendation. We're going to go there. So we'll do this one. So I just don't like, the only thing I don't like about this though is I just don't like that it takes up a lot of vertical space. So if I can get it like that, that would be good, but let's go this way. All right, so also why in cases where if you have a long form or if you have a lot of information that you want to collect from someone, I would say that the best option isn't necessarily to create a form. In this environment, in the high level environment, the best thing to do would probably use a survey, because surveys operate off of pages, and in each page can have a set of information. So like now that we got that taken care of, I can kind of just dive into surveys really quick. Surveys, for instance, are here. You can go into Survey Builder, and let's just look at an example. Let's create a survey, for example. This is a bonus, which I didn't mean to talk about this today, but let's go here. We can choose from a template. So we'll pick a template survey. Let's go business coaching and consulting, right? And let's just pick this online business webinar. Okay, so let's preview it and see what it looks like. All right, yeah, okay. It's kind of following the bright color theme that is in the email. So yeah, we're gonna go yes. We're gonna hit continue, and now it's gonna add this template to the survey. And there's some different functionality between this, what you can do with a survey and what you can do with a form. And in some cases, I've actually built out forms that lead to surveys, and so that I can get more detailed information before I move somebody into the next step. For instance, if I have a consultation, there's going to be information that I want to get from them, and I want to make sure they qualify. And the survey would help me get more information that I can find that out. So as you see here, you have your first name, full name, email, and organization. So you get the same context that you would get from a form, but you see that it has collections of fields or pieces of information that exist on different pages, right? And so that if you are concerned about saving space for the sake of mobile first design, I would, in my opinion, what you would basically use a survey and then use pages to walk people through, right? And so then you see that this is page 2, and now page 3 has a different set, and then you have a submit at the end, right? So that's what surveys. Anyway, show you what that looks like and how to find them. They're right there, all underneath the sites, under the sites category, the sites menu, and you'll find that that's where your funnels, websites, and all these things are currently located. And so you just go to forums, or you go to surveys, you go to builders. Okay. But today we're talking about workflows. So we're going to go an automation. So we're going to go into automations, and we're going to talk about what's in here. So in the workflows and automations tab list, you have a number of different, if you go to create a new one, you have a number of different recipes, right? So you can go import from a campaign, lead nurture using using GPT history. Then you have recipes for Shopify. Anyway, you have a bunch of different recipes that are common recipes for you to use. So let's go ahead and let's pick one. Let's look at this, and I've never looked at this one specifically, but let's look at one of the recipes because it kind of falls in line with what we're doing, which is a recipe for email drip sequence, right? Somebody fills out a lead form, they get into your system. Now you want to create a drip campaign to keep them engaged. Let's talk about that. So we're going to show you what that looks like here. And and Justin, if you want to drop your community information too in the chat, so people can follow you, that would be awesome. So as you notice that this recipe, it doesn't have a trigger, but let's look at what's in it. And the trigger is going to be the form we'll come back to that. But let's just look at what's in this recipe. This is a recipe that's just automatically loaded the minute you sign up with the Traffic Link app. This is it, and you have at a particular you select a certain plan, and you have access to the workflows, and then this is what a recipe looks like when you actually open it up. Okay, so let's see. Let's see what is automatically included with this recipe. So you see that the action name is going to be email 1, and it's going to be email 1 with new subject, email 2, email it's going to be probably email 3, email 4, and it's basically going to be checking to see how many people, if people have actually opened. This mimics something I learned from a guy named Chris Davis called a single double opt-in, and this is what this recipe. So this is actually a pretty good recipe. But this recipe basically breaks down like this. In the first email, you're going to want to fill this out. If you don't use a recipe, this would just be blank. It won't have anything filled out for you. You'll have to know how to navigate around to figure out. And I would say if you're brand new to the Traffic Link app and you're trying to figure things out and you're done on a done do-it-yourself plan, or you're not in anything like a done with you plan, then you want to probably use recipes until you get familiar with what's going on. So the location name is going to be, or the from is going to be from the location name, but the from name could be anything. So like, for instance, I could just put in here, I can put Xavier, and then boom, and it'll say from the, and for the pipe, and then location name. So it'll be Xavier, and then example this, because the location of this sub account is example this with a Z. And I say the email is going to be from the location email. Then the subject line is, we're going to say, nice to meet you. You won't believe what's inside. All right, so I want to tell you a little something about subject lines. If you think about subject lines are the hook. You got to make sure that anything you're dealing with marketing that you have really strong hooks. Nice to meet you acknowledges that we've already have a point of familiarity. You won't believe inside builds an immediate anticipation, and in some cases introduces FOMO, fear of missing out. You won't believe what's inside. So whenever you're drafting or you're putting together emails, especially in email marketing, or if email marketing is a part of your marketing mix, then you want to make sure that you're very sharp with your hooks or your subject lines. Because if your subject lines are not together, people are generally not going to open the email. You want people to open the email. So then from there, you want to go choose the you want to choose the template that we used before, right? So we're gonna choose, nope, it's not that one. We're gonna choose Market Magnet, right? Was the template that we had just worked on, and you can see a preview of it here. And what's really cool about this is that if you don't like what you see here, you can click on edit. It will open a contextual pop-up, and then you can edit really quick what you need to edit. Like for instance, I think what I want to edit is this right here. I don't like that background pattern. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to go select the pattern, and I'm going to hit remove, right? I want to then change the pattern to this. And then I want to go back, and I want to change select the background color to be, actually, I want to select the background color. I'm going to hit add, and then I'm going to use the color picker here to select this color here. So, and then I'm going to hit add. Now I have that. Now I don't know if I like that color. So we're going to do it again. Add color picker, then go to the purple. And then going to add, okay, I can almost work with that. The only thing is now the font's a little bit wonky. I don't like none of this. I don't like that either. Let me pick something different. Let me try to find a color that's actually in this palette that works. Let me try, all these colors are kind of, can I be honest, they're kind of aggravating me. But let's go ahead and just pick this just for the sake of demonstration, right? I can say add, now I have that, now I have that. Okay, that actually kind of works better. So then now what we're going to do from here is we're going to go to, from here, we're going to go to edit the text, right? I want the text to be bold. And see, this text is 14 points. So I'm going to take this 14 point text and I want to raise it to 16. Oh, I wonder if Justin got anything to say or any pointers on select text and font sizing relative to what he does for a living. I trust him with all my UX design and overall branding structure. Justin's a wealth of knowledge. I hope he leaves his information. Cool red, pinks colors cover well in CTAs. Okay. So actually what's bothering me about this is actually the pattern that I selected. So I'm going to go back here and select that. If you select here and it pulls up this contextual menu, it's because you've actually clicked out of it. Even though you hovered over it, you actually have to click to actually get. So if you see that black bar over here on the right, then that means you're just hovering over the section. When the black bar goes away, when you click it, that means you're actually dealing or you're actually editing that section. So let's go back to select the pattern. Let's go back here. Okay. Don't know if I like that either. Don't know if I like that. Is it just, don't know if I like that. Here? No. How about we just say remove the pattern and just leave it that way? Okay. All right. So we got that. All right. So then once again, we're still in the workflow, but we selected edit from within the workflow for this particular template. From here, I can even save it as a new template, but for the sake of what we have going on. Oh, and they can even preview it. So if I hit preview, it'll show me what that looks like. Right. So now we're previewing it. Now I can go back to edit. It will pop me back into the edit. I can hit save, and then it'll pop me back into the workflow. And hit the X, and now we're back in the workflow. So now we have now just edited that. Then we're going to use this as our template to send out the email. So we're going to hit the save action. So now that email is ready to go. It's going to wait for 1 day, and then it's going to go through a check to see whether or not the person actually opened. And so was the email one opened? Right? It's going to say if it was a yes, if a yes branch is going to be email event. So what this is going through to look at all actions. It's going to say basically events, email event, and then the action is opened, right? And so if it's a no, right, email event is not opened, then you have some actions to take there. And then you have a none. If none of those actions, if the email was neither opened or the email, if either was opened or was not opened, if neither one of those is true, which it's going to be one of those two, then it would fall into a none branch. I'll have to talk to you guys about the none branch in a little bit. The none branch, well, I'll talk about it now. The none branch works like it's either, if it's not an either or. I use this in a newsletter automation that I'm currently building. It's pretty elaborate, but it helps me, like, say I want the newsletter to go out on the first Monday or the third Monday. If it's not neither one of those, then the none branch then helps me send them back to a wait state that waits for either the first or the third Monday in the month, and then it will just keep on working on that until it gets to the first or the third Monday. Then when it gets to that Monday, then it goes through, and then it goes through the branches. It's going to say, yes, it's the first or the third Monday. Then it proceed forward in the automations. Then let's see. All right. So now that we have that, now to say the email was open, they're going to wait a day. If the email was not open, and this is where the single double opt-in comes into play, it's going to say, all right, email was not opened. It's going to send the email again, right? The only modification in the single double opt-in would be that the single double, well, it's just actually a single double opt-in, because once they get the email sent the second time, if the email is not opened up the second time, then they exit out. I think that would be the only difference between a single opt-in, and then you would, if they didn't open it, they would go into a wait state of 30 days. If they didn't open it after 30 days, then they're going to get removed from the email list. Email hygiene, I guess we can talk about that now. Is a good point to talk about that. Email hygiene is paramount, because if you are sending emails to people like such that have Gmail accounts, Yahoo accounts, public accounts that the email service providers give away for free, and your email is never opened, you get tagged as being spam. And the reason why you get tagged as being spam is because you're sending out emails to people that are not finding value in the emails that you're sending out. So one of the best emails that you can probably send, one of the best emails is in the beginning emails, ask people to reply back. Always ask them, hey, if you receive this email, first and foremost, can you just reply back and say you got it? And what you're doing there is you're providing the email service providers with something that says, oh, people are actually engaging with this email address. Behind every email address is an IP address. I don't know if you know what that is, but everything on the internet that floats around the internet is considered to be an IP address. It's an individual identification number that every single piece of equipment that exchanges information back and forth on the internet has attached to it. Your email address is an IP address. And when the email service providers, Yahoo, Google, Outlook, Hotmail, you name it, whoever the ESP is, if it's a free service, it's a free email service that you can get for free. If they notice that your IP address is consistently not being open, they're going to automatically assume it's spam. And if it's assumed as spam, then you get low email reputation. And then even when you're sending out fulfillment emails like, oh, here's your deliverables, here's your legal contract is attached, it's always going to end up in spam, and people are going to be complaining about they didn't receive their whatever it was that you promised that you were going to deliver to them. So email hygiene is important. And let's go back there. I started there. I'm coming back there. Email hygiene is important. So if people are not clicking after a set number of time, then you need to, if they're, especially when it's in a new lead scenario, when it's in a new contact scenario, if they're not replying back, or if they're not opening up their emails within 30 days, send them an email and say, oh, I'm sorry that we missed each other. Please feel free to re-engage at a later time. We're going to go ahead and remove you from the list, because you don't want to keep sending out emails to people that are going to not opening up. You don't want to keep on. Imagine, put it like this. Imagine you're sitting in front of someone and you're talking to them and they're just looking at you with a blank face. They're not replying back. They're not saying anything back to you. Eventually, you're going to get up and walk away and say that person was crazy, right? And that's kind of how you want to approach it. You want to be like, okay, I don't want to sit there and keep on talking to people. They're going to think I'm crazy, right? they're not responding back, they're looking at me and I'm looking at them. We're not communicating. This scenario is crazy. We need to end that relationship. And so email hygiene is all about that. It's kind of like setting boundaries for your email list, for your contact list, so that you're making sure that you're communicating and that your email address doesn't become dormant and it doesn't get flagged as potential spam every single time. Okay. Enough about email hygiene. I could go on. I can go on and on about that. So there's all kinds of strategies that I have in place that I use right now with my clients to help them break that email, try to break through and push through that ESP block, or constantly landing in spam. But it's all about email list hygiene. So let's go ahead and save this. All right, so let's go ahead and exit out of here. But anyway, so that now we're just looking at what this next would say create the text that would go here. That would be if they didn't receive the email 1. Basically, you would just if they didn't open up email 1, you would just basically iterate what email 1 says, and the same process applies. Pick your template you want to go in there. Pick your subject line for the second email. I might even use something like, speaking of like hooks and subject lines, I might say, oops, seems we may have missed each other. Do you want your thing? Right. Or whatever you want to say. So hit save there. And then you basically walking through this process. So let me just zoom out so I can carry up and come through this. Basically, you're just going through a series. In this recipe, you're just going through a series of checks and balances. Did they do the thing or did they not do the thing? If they did the thing, move to the next step. You're getting all the way through. It's a 4 email sequence. So you're just moving through to check and see if they opened it. If they did, great. If they did not, then give them a second chance. If they still didn't open it on the second chance, my recommendation would be to instead of sending them through to the next step, I would send them to a 30-day wait, and then if they don't open by 30 days, then go ahead and kick them off the list. But to apply the form that we created before, because remember we did create the form before, we want to go here and we want to look for form, submit it, and then we're going to go say lead intake form submitted, and we're going to go add, we're going to go select form is, and then we're going to look for the lead intake form. So now we're going to hit save trigger. Okay, I'm going to open up a duplicate this tab. So duplicate the tab. It's going to open up. And while that's loading, I'm going to tell you about what's going to happen. So now we're going to pull up that form, and then we're going to run through a scenario, and I'm going to show you how to check and see if the automation actually initiated and kicked off. All right, so let's go. It wants to be goofy. All right, let's sample this. All right, these numbers are off. I have not spent too much time. Anyway, it's having an issue. So let's just go back this way. Let's go back. Oh, let me hit save here. Cancel, hit save there. I'm going to go back. My internet's going slow. All right, and we're gonna go back to workflows to get out of here, and then we're gonna go into sites again, and we're gonna go to form builder. Then we're going to open up the lead intake form, actually, and I could have just hit the 3 dots, but we'll go this way. So we'll go to preview. So now we'll just go ahead and fill this out. I'll put in John Baker. His phone number is 535-235-1235. Okay. And it's going to say John Baker at bakingplus.com. And we're going to hit the consent. Then we're going to hit the button. By the way, that should be like submit. It wouldn't just say button. But we're just, let's see, say 535 235 1235. Let me just give it a real 253. That's a local number to me. 263-0893. Okay. All right. And we'll just say submit. Right. Now, if I go back over here to the automations, if I go back into automations and we pull up the automation that we were just working on, was the drip campaign, recipe email drip sequence. So to see if this actually executed, you can go to the execution logs, and in here you should see or enrollment history. Okay, neither one of those. Let's go back to the builder, see what happened. Did it? Okay, it did complete. All right, so let's see what happened here. Form is lead intake form. Okay, and then we're going to refresh again to see. Should be the lead intake form there. Form is. Say, oh, I didn't publish it. That gets me probably more than I care to admit. You got to make sure that you publish your workflows, even if you're going to test it, or unless you want to go through the test workflow here, and then the test workflow will then take you through that process. So, all right, so this is basically how this works. So now that it's published, let's go back to the form. Let's do it again. John Baker. Uh, 253 235 1235. All right, and we're gonna say John Baker at bakingplus.com. So we hit consent. I consent to receive weekly SMS notifications. Go to hit submit or the green button. It says thank you for taking your time to complete this form. We can now go back over here. We should see now in the execution logs, John Baker should be there, and John Baker's there. So now that we have that, let's talk. Now what would happen is that the email would be sent out, and then they'd be waiting to see where he's at. Now, if you go back, if you ever want to see where people are, you can click on the stats view, and it'll show you what the stats are. So you can see the email 1 was delivered. It says 0% delivered, right? But you can also see where the person is located. You see this little indicator right here, this little gray indicator? You can tell where people are at in the automations. So they're waiting for an open for one day. Now, if you're in a test scenario and you want to advance somebody to the next step in the automation, you can just click on the person with the arrow to the right there, and then that'll move them to the next step. And then you check the execution logs, and then the execution logs to see that it skipped. It's in the email. Now they're back in a wait state. Okay, so let's go back and see where did that put them at. Okay, it should have put them in the no. Yeah, it put them in the no. Put them in the no state because the condition was that they open it, and because we advanced them in the automation, we didn't give the system the opportunity to check and see if there was an actual open. So because we didn't give that, then it automatically assumes a no. And again, it would just follow the workflow that way. If we push them to the next state and would push them to the wait phase of a day, then it would send email 2, and then it'd be waiting for another day. So that's basically how you work the workflows. And this is just a basic introduction to how workflows work and how you use them. It gets way more complicated. Trust me, I work in complicated workflows all the time. And especially when you're working in systems where you have multiple workflows that are working together simultaneously for one particular cause. Like engagement scoring is an engagement and lead tracking is a scenario where you'll have multiple workflows that are working together in different locations. I might have one. I have a particular scenario where I'm listening to find out when the last time somebody was active. If they were active, like like I was telling you a little bit ago, wait 30-day sequence. Basically I have one automation that's a trigger for that, and then I have another automation that's listening for how long it's been since they've been active. So they're working in concert together. They're working together. But nonetheless, this is how it works. We're going to be opening up a community soon. We're going to be opening up a community for you to join, and we'll have all of these replays for all these walkthroughs, and we'll be going into depth into different scenarios. You can ask questions there, like, can you show me how this works? Can we build this thing? How would you build this out? And we'll walk through we'll be building out different automations. Stay tuned for that. I'm going to announce how you can become a part of that community next week. So come back next week. And if you want the advanced access, before I announce it to everyone else, you can just go to my Instagram. Go to my Instagram, and then you can find me at the traffic link. Follow, and then shoot me a DM, and then I'll make sure that I give you the access to join the community before anybody else. So if you guys take those steps, I'll definitely meet you halfway by giving you early access or giving you priority access to the community. And at some point in time, the rules may change. We'll see how it goes, but at some point in time, there's going to be a paid community on top of that. But the first community is going to be free. But we want to get people in that community so we can start asking more specific questions and actually diving into or actually providing more help for you as we go. So with that being said, I'm Xavier at the traffic link on all platforms. Thank you for following this live today. This has been part 4 of workflows and automations. We talked about forms, form builders. We talked about what makes a good email subject line. We talked about email hygiene or list hygiene, and we talked about drip campaigns and how to work with automations and flows from a form all the way through. So thank you guys very much for joining me. It's Traffic Link. I'm out.